Well, with me is Rafe Heydel-Mankoo, a ceremonial commentator who is broadcasting from outside St Paul's Cathedral earlier today. Rafe, this wasn't a state funeral, but to the untrained eye, it could have been. Just explain to us the difference.
There are very few differences actually between a ceremonial and a state funeral. A state funeral requires a vote or a motion in Parliament to be put through. There are a slight difference in the number of gun salutes that are fired, and most significantly, I suppose, the gun carriage upon which the coffin is borne is drawn by horses, as we saw today in a ceremonial funeral, but in a state funeral is actually pulled by members of the Royal Navy. This dates back to Queen Victoria's reign when the horses bolted on icy streets and the Navy had to stand in. So to the untrained eye, not much of a difference really.
And you were there, of course, you were broadcasting from outside St Paul's. What was the atmosphere like? Because, of course, she was incredibly divisive.
Well, following on from all the protests, what was remarkable was the lack of protest on this occasion. And certainly there were a few hecklers, but what I found in the crowd was each time there was a heckle, the crowd resoundingly turned and booed them down. And it almost seemed as if people were there to pay respects and to show their gratitude to what really was the longest Prime Minister that we've had for 150 years and the first woman Prime Minister. And so we saw a round of applause, something which we weren't so used to long ago, but after the funeral of Diana, something which we now associate with funerals in this country.
And Lady Thatcher was very much involved in deciding what to have in her service. She was very much in control of it. There wasn't, for example, a fly past.
It's true. People like Lord Prescott have said that this is the Tory party trying to canonise Thatcher, but actually the plans were laid in place during the Labour government, and Thatcher was very much involved with that. And being a cost-cutting Prime Minister, she was very keen to ensure that the public purse wasn't overflowing when it comes to this. So there was no fly past, no lying in state. So a ceremonial funeral, much more restrained and reduced than that of the state funeral of Winston Churchill, but a very fitting way to celebrate this tremendous woman.
And only the second politician, as you touched upon there, after Winston Churchill, to have such a grand funeral. Is that right?
Well, there's an argument to be had as to whether Thatcher was the greatest peacetime leader. Some people might put Attlee forward. But I think at the end of the day, the real test is to see whether one has the charisma to make a mark upon history. And I would argue that only Churchill, other than Thatcher, was a person who straddled the global stage, not just the British stage. And it's really the force of personality and the charisma of a person that ensures that they're going to make a mark in the public mind. And Thatcher definitely did that, whatever one's view of her.
Fascinating stuff. Rafe Heydel-Mankoo, thank you very much for explaining all of that to us. Thank you.